So you're from Louisiana. What part of Louisiana?
So I was born in Monroe, it's North Louisiana, but I actually live in Baton Rouge. Grew up in a little town called Denham Springs, right outside of Baton Rouge. So,
What was that like, bro?
White trash trailer parks. I don't, I try. You know what? One of my friends called me the other day. He goes, "Hey man, I just want to remind you, you're not a fucking cowboy. You're just white trash with cowboy boots." And I said, "Touche. You're right."
They can't tell though.
No, I've never been in a rodeo. I've ridden some horses.
Yeah.
I worked on some farms here and there, but yeah, man. One thing I know about most everywhere you go, there's big cities, but right outside, man, like, it's nothing to find, impoverished people or poor people, so I grew up, super white trash, poor, whatever, man. And I think that's a very common story. So I don't feel super special about it. It's just, trailer parks. The education's not as good. I probably didn't have as good as the education as most people.
Louisiana, Alabama, a lot of the Mississippi.
Yeah, man. You know our scores. You know our scores are low. Fuck, I failed 6th grade, man. To this day, I make Siri read my emails. I'll just highlight and say speak. Bro, you got to find your way around it, bro.
Yeah, I didn't even know you could do that.
Damn.
Yeah, man. Yeah, just highlight the whole thing and put speak, and she just reads all my daily reports that people send me. I have Siri read them to me. Dyslexic as hell, man.
Damn.
And I think that's important that somebody says, like, you have a guy, multimillionaire, come on your show, right? Hey, bro, I don't read that well. If you were to ask me to read in front of a bunch of people, I'd stumble.
Sound like Fresh?
Like, today, But I feel like that kind of shit's important to say, man, because guys need to know that.
Yeah.
You gotta
listen. No one's perfect, and at the same time, like Floyd Mayweather, you see, he can't read, right? Multi-millionaire. Look at Justin. Same thing.
I didn't know that, bro. Yeah, you're well spoken. So it's like you wouldn't think that would translate over to like the reading portion. I had no idea.
Well, I can read, but like if you were to tell me to read in front of like a bunch of people.
Okay.
Oh, bro.
I mean, like for us,
today we're gonna read super chats. No. Today only Justin will read chats today.
Hey, and you know what I'll do? I'll abbreviate it. I find it funny when Gaming Reaction to tweet streamers make fun of guys where they reply on an audience of men who are heavily sedated
by the internet. Shake my head.
Men raising. See, I don't read anywhere near as fast as you guys.
Listen, you butchered, but it's okay.
It's terrible.
I'm a little bit better.
Terrible call.
It's a little bit better.
And Justin's drinking 4 shots.
So can you tell us a little bit? So you grew up in Louisiana, obviously very humble beginnings.
Yep.
And you're multi-millionaire, very successful. How old are you, by the way, so people know?
I just turned 36. In fact, I turned 36 the day we did the Avengers show.
Oh,
that was my birthday.
You didn't tell us it was your birthday?
We did.
We did?
Yeah, we told him happy birthday.
Oh, we did?
Yeah, I did.
I forgot.
Yeah.
You probably called me some name, and that was it.
Yeah, it was our birthday.
Did we make fun of him?
Yeah, we did a little bit.
All right.
You should have.
Yeah.
Just making sure.
So you own a couple. You operate a very successful steel business.
Yep.
Can you tell us a little bit about that and your other entrepreneurial ventures and how you went from rags to riches, self-made millionaire, multi-millionaire?
Sure, man. So I started off. I went to college, played football, played D1 football, and I read Rich Dad Poor Dad. Like everybody else.
Where'd you go play football?
I played at ULM, University of Louisiana Monroe, Sunbelt School. In fact, we're that little team that beat Alabama in 07. I started that game.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
It was like a million years ago.
Division 1 is no joke, bro. So
yeah, bro.
I was a D1 athlete too, so I understand.
Yeah, man. Those money games are real. So it was a good time. So I did that. I read Rich.
What position did you play?
I played tight end.
Tight end?
Played tight end, yeah.
That makes sense.
So I did that, and then I graduated college 2009. So I went to school for construction management, and I was told, you go to school here, it's 100% job placement. You're going to have a job in Dallas making, 75, 80 to start. And then you eventually one day you might be a VP of a company, make $150.
Nice.
So I graduate and bam, no jobs. 2009.
Oh yeah. This is right after the recession.
Yeah. So I'm going through a hard time. I broke up with Miss Louisiana at the time. So the girl that was Miss ULM, I dated for 3 years in college, and she won Miss Louisiana. And while she was getting ready for Miss America, I kind of went through this phase where it's like I didn't want to be monogamous. So instead of just staying and taking the chance of getting caught, I broke up with her. So not only do I not have a job after I graduate, there's 3 billboards of her on the way to my job digging ditches for this construction company because that's the only job I can get. I'm making like $17 an hour.
Damn.
And I'm just like it just sucks. It just super sucks. So what happened was that job ended. I went home and again, couldn't get a job. So I waited tables at a place called Texas de Brazil in Baton Rouge.
Okay.
And what I would do, Yeah, Texas Day Brazil.
They got that
The
here, too.
churrascaria. Yeah.
Oh shit.
So I was waiting tables there.
So this is 09 and 2010.
Yeah, it's like 09, 2010.
Yeah.
I'm completely just like it just heartbroke about
Yeah.
it because I had done everything right, man.
Yeah.
I'd made the grades. I went and fought, got a scholarship, got my school paid for. I'd done everything that everybody had ever told me to do.
Yeah. You followed the blueprint.
Dude, I did.
The
Yeah.
regular guy's blueprint.
I did, man. I super followed the blueprint and I thought I was being a good guy by telling the truth.
Yeah.
End up getting,
Instead of being a city boy, you were like, listen, man,
yeah.
I want to fuck some other bitches.
Yeah.
I know you're Miss Louisiana and all.
Yeah.
But I
But
got
yeah. So I like told the truth and said, punk.
Yeah. Stupid. I got you.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm going through like that whole thing, like nothing's going right. And so what I would do is I would either work for my stepfather putting up metal buildings in people's backyards, because as a kid, that's what my stepdad did. He put up metal buildings. So like 30 by 40 sheds in backyards. And so I'd either help him do that for $10 an hour cash, or I would take my little resume that basically had nothing on it, and I would go to these companies and apply for jobs where they're building this hospital in Baton Rouge. And it was this huge project. I want to say it was like 40 mil to build this hospital, and they have these job trailers set up outside. So I'd go and walk in there and try to give the gatekeeper my resume. And she's like, son, I can't do that. I'm like, yes, ma'am. Like, come back like 4 or 5 days later. Like, can I see him? You're like, I know the boss is here. So no. Well, the third time I went, she goes, you know what? Stay right there. And she goes in the back. She gets this guy and this old grizzled, just angry ass looking 50-something-year-old white man. He goes, are you Justin? I'm like, yes, sir. He's like, come with me. So we go to the back. He plops down in his chair and he's like, and I'm like,
Yeah.
And he looks at it and he looks at me and he looks at it and he looks at me. He throws it down on the table and he goes, you've been in here multiple times. Yes, sir. Interrupting my job. I'm out here working a $40 million project and you're coming here off the streets 3 or 4 and 5 times trying to see me to get a job. And I'm like, yes, sir. And he just leans back in his chair and he goes, I like that shit. And he gave me a job.
Wow.
And the cool thing about the job is because the company was from like Oklahoma, I got per diem and I was probably making about $75K a year,
Okay.
and
And
so
for those that are wondering, guys, real quick, per diem is when they pay you when you're like doing stuff out of state. So since they were
Yeah.
based in Oklahoma City, they were able to pay him
Yeah.
per diem while he was in Louisiana, which is a nice little perk. They pay for your
Yeah.
food, lodging, that type of thing.
yeah, I mean, the per diem by itself is more money than I'd ever made.
Yeah.
Plus the salary.
Fantastic.
So what I did, I knew I wanted to own a business. So what I did is in Louisiana to get a contractor's license, you have to have a net worth of $10,000 more. Well, dude, you could have rubbed together every penny in my family. We did not have that.
Mhm.
So what I did is I went to the bank and I said, listen, I want you to draw about 80%, 90% of what I'm making out into this other savings account. And so I did that. And over 6 months, I finally got to $10,000. And so I went to the state contractor's license board and I applied for my license. I went back to the bank, took the money out, put it in another bank, which I'm not completely sure if I had to do, and then applied for my residential license. So I applied for commercial and residential at the same time.
Okay.
And long story short, that was 11 years ago this month.
Wow.
And so here we are.
That's fantastic,
Yo,
man.
yeah.
That's crazy because like your perseverance of you going back and forth to the guy multiple times.
Yeah.
Most people say, you know what? I didn't get it. I give up. Life is over. But you went 3
Yeah.
times, bro.
Yeah.
And you got the job. That's amazing, bro.
So you were
Yeah.
able to take, man, that's fantastic. So
Yeah.
you took that persistence, you were able to get that job, use it as a stepping stone, and then from there you're able to build up that capital and get to 10,000. And then what happened? How'd you transition from there?
Okay, cool. So from there, you have a decision to make. You're like, okay, well, what direction do I go? I built a house or two, didn't like it, because Karen walks in, she's like, I know I told you this paint color, but I don't like it. And they start crying.
I want the beige. Where's your
Yeah,
manager? With the beige.
it's a thing, man. So I'm like, okay, well, there's this metal building thing. And I did that growing up, bro, probably 12 years old.
So you started your own stuff up pretty much, and then you started
started
building homes now.
I built a house. I was doing a shed here. So I was like, I need to niche down.
Okay.
So I knew metal buildings was a big thing. And then my stepdad, he knew metal buildings really well. And so, like, if you've ever read E-Myth, there's the entrepreneur, the manager, and the technician. Well, I knew I had a technician that was competent, and I knew metal buildings, but not to that level. So I was like, hey, look, I'm going to go get these contracts, help me do these buildings, blah, blah, blah. Well, it started out, man, we must have had 3 guys. you know, and I had $2,500 a week payroll, which I was freaking the fuck
Oh,
out about.
wow.
By the way, now we do over 100,000 a week in payroll.
Wow.
I think over 100 men.
Yeah.
But you know, we started out doing sheds and backyards. Obviously, me and him part ways. He wanted to smoke weed or do whatever he wanted to do, so I had to go find people. But man, yeah, it started out very, very humble. Backyards, losing money, doing projects for almost free, you know. And then eventually, I got my first commercial job, and I lost about $25,000. And at that time,
How?
it was a lick. He walked off the job.
Damn.
The old man walked off the job. Yeah.
So like you started it, but like someone that was working under you, like
under
just
me,
walked off?
walked off the job, and so we had to. So in construction, it's what they call a deductive change order.
Mhm.
So if I have a contract for $100,000, right?
Yeah.
And let's say I'm halfway done on my schedule of values, and for scheduling reasons or whatever, because the contracts we sign are very lopsided, they can supplement you, what they call supplementing, and the supplement is when they bring somebody else that does what you do in. And when that happened, it cost more than my contract amount. So I didn't get paid. So I was about like a negative 25 grand. So I had to actually go get a job working for this other industrial company for a year. So what I'd do is I'd wake up at 3 a.m, I'd work out, and I'd get to the office before anybody else, and I'd estimate more jobs. And I finally won enough work to leave the job again. And so it was a blow. It was a lick.
So him walking off the job pretty much forced you to pick something else up to get more jobs to compensate for the loss.
Yeah.
What's that called? Duck dive? That's a commercial term.
It was a
I'm writing that down.
deductive change order
Okay.
out of my contract.
I'm learning myself, guys. You should be taking notes as well,
That's
man. This is the
crazy, bro.
commercial world, guys.
Yeah, man.
I'm a residential guy, so I'm learning
It's
quite a bit right
it's
now.
ugly out there. So if you get a subcontract, the contract will say they can supplement you at any time or charge you what's called liquidated damages.
Okay.
So on school projects, I must have built 20 schools, you know. So if you're behind on a school project and that's a state funded job,
Yeah.
every day you're late, they'll charge you $3,000 a day.
Oh.
Damn.
Yeah. And they'll take it out of your contract.
Okay.
Like, so the commercial world it's ugly, but it also can be very explosive.
Yeah.
On the other end of that, you know, I'll never forget the first time I made 100 grand in 6 weeks.
Wow.
You know, you do a re-roof or really just knock a project out the park, and you're like, dude, I made a bunch of money.
Yeah.
You know, so there's two ends of it, but it's really about getting the systems in, getting the people in, finding the talent, paying them, paying them right.
So this is circa what? Because 2009, you're flat broke, waiting tables.
Yeah, so
2010,
I
you
get it started up, and I'd say this is about 2012.
Okay.
And by the time I'm at 2014, I built it up to about 800,000 in revenue a year.
Okay. A year.
And then I hired my first project manager.
Bam.
Then bam, we take it to.
Was that the turning point?
That's when we go from 800 grand to like 1.5 mil.
Bam. Okay.
And then the next
Yearly.
thing. Yeah.
Yeah. So
revenue.
Okay. Awesome.
Revenue wise on labor, which is about 35% margin, by the way.
Okay.
So somewhere in there, I'm about 26, 27. About 28, I hit 2 mil. And then I'm like, okay, we got a little traction. That's when I start joining associations, getting mentors, getting known across the country for what we do. Then we start traveling. And so that's when the buildings start getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And so by the time I was 33, we're doing 3 mil. By the time, like now, this year, we'll do over 10.
Okay.
At about a 35% margin. So,
but for the people out there, can you tell them what a 35% margin is, just so they know?
Yeah, that's like 3.5 million on 10 million in revenue.
Okay, so that's what you're taking home.
Yeah,
that's what
profit.
you're after paying out the workers, the
everything.
contractors, everything.
Out the door.
You're walking out the door with 3.5 for you, not even your people. Okay.
Yeah.
That's from a guy
That's awesome.
begging for a job, and
Yeah,
to where he is
begging.
today. That's
waiting
crazy,
tables.
man.
I waited tables that
too.
night. I begged for a job that day, and I waited tables at Texas Day Brazil that night.
Damn. So what's your excuse, niggas?
Yeah, real talk, bro. Like,
And he
fucking,
can't read. Bro. That in itself should tell you, bro. What's your excuse, man?
Yeah.
Money
Fucking-
Mondays.
Fucking awesome,
Yeah.
bro. And it's the thing is that even when you started your business, like you were still getting you were still losing money. You were operating in the red for a period of time.
Oh my
People
god.
walking
Yeah.
off on
Yo,
jobs, like
And he's a ginger.
yeah.
What's wrong with you, man?
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
No excuses. You don't even got a soul.
That's what I'm saying.
You know what I'm saying?
He's soulless.
Yeah.
Put this on Shade Room, motherfuckers. You probably won't know. So they fresh and fit made fun of redheads. Oh, they don't go fuck though.
I actually love redhead girls though. I don't know what it is,
Bro, they're fire.
It's something they have. I don't know. It's a soul sucking. I don't know what it is, bro.
this guy, bro.
You got 3?
So what are real quick before I read those? So what are the top 2 or 3 things you learned from starting your own venture that you can give out to the audience? Because a lot of people, they get scared from entrepreneurship. They're scared to take risks. Obviously, you took a huge risk.
Yeah.
I never
Taking a
give up.
bunch of your money that you were earning, putting it into a savings account, probably living on nothing, so you could get that 10,000 net worth. Like from that experience, from waiting tables to who you are now, what are some lessons that you would give the people out there?
Yeah, man. I tell people often that either I was too dumb or too tough to quit.
Mm.
And I think you have to be that. If you can't stand in there and take those blows and learn from them, and then another thing I say is like stay in the same fight if you can. If you know you're in the right business model, which I think a lot of choosing business is picking the right business model. If I think I ever made a mistake, it probably would have been the fact that I chose steel. Like I probably could have picked an easier business if I'm being honest.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? Like choose the right model. Like we live in a world now. That's why I push Hustlers University so hard. It's because I do think there's easier ways to make money.
Yeah.
But like we were talking about before the show started, it's the only thing I knew, man.
Yeah.
A lot of time, there were no like steel was the only way we knew how to make doctor money in boots.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That's all I knew, bro.
I like that.
That's all I knew. It's how,
One of the richest men in the world, Andrew Carnegie. His business was steel as well.
Yeah, steel.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think he was probably producing steel. We erect steel, so cranes but basically, if you know you're in the right business model and you choose the right business model, stay in the fight. Because it's always compare it to actually like, let's say you're boxing and you're fighting and you take a jab. Okay, fine. You slip the jab and then you get hit by a cross, right? You might take that cross twice, but eventually you're going to dip and then duck and then you get your licks in. But if you go fight a different fight, then you're going to take the licks in that industry as well.
Yeah.
So I see people, they switch industries all the time. They get beat up a little bit and they quit. Well, dude, if you take those licks and then you know how to move, then eventually you roll on top and you might as well get your licks in. And that's what I'm doing, man.
Yeah.
Like maybe my model's not the best model, but I stuck that model out for over a decade.
Right.
And now it's paying me big.
Yeah. And and at this point, you've probably mastered it. Like you're
Yeah.
probably one of the top steel guys.
Yeah, man.
So, real quick, because you mentioned that had you done it different, you would have maybe not went into steel. What are the other ways to like build? Are there is there wood industry or something, or is another?
Well, yeah, man. This is just trade construction stuff.
Okay.
Metal buildings particularly can be hard because architects, the metal buildings have gotten very popular over the last 10, 15 years. They're able to decorate them in ways. They used to be just boxes, right? Now they're putting very specialized panels on them. People are going to architects and they're like, hey, I know you want to do metal buildings, but you can make metal buildings look like this. I want to say like 70% of construction under like low-rise construction is pre-engineered. All the strip malls you see in America, all the school gymnasiums, a lot of metal buildings are out there and they're able to decorate them in crazy ways. Well, the more those panels change or the more they involve other trades in the outside shell, like masons and stucco and things like that, it really, when you get down to the granular details of how to make the building watertight, it gets a little bit more difficult. And because it's not coming from one manufacturer, it's coming in from all over the country. So wall A is coming from Minnesota.
Okay.
Well, one part's coming from Eufaula, Alabama. The insulation's coming from Texas.
Yeah.
So it makes it hard because there's really an order of operations in construction.
So is it because it's so competitive to be in the steel industry? Why it's difficult? It's just because it's like such a
It's a
competitive
lot
market?
of moving parts and pieces.
Okay.
Yeah.
So all right.
I can't even imagine being in that business, bro.
Yeah,
Bro, it's
wow.
ugly. It's
So
ugly.
what do most people? So it looks like steel is like difficult to do. What are the other industries that people may do if they're doing commercial and building?
Look, man, like if like you could do any trade and make a bunch of money. I believe that you like could do concrete and smash it. You can do metal buildings. Like, dude, I'm killing metal buildings. I'm just saying that it's one of those things that has a learning curve to it. And you might take a couple licks. Now, what I do love about metal buildings is I'm on the national board, Metal Building Contractor Directors Board. I'm the youngest guy on the board. And I look around and everybody's like 55, 60 years old. And I'm like, I might have this to myself one day. So there's that because if you do like construction, you could go into construction. And if you get really good and you build systems and you build a legitimate company that does things correctly, you have your safety right, you have your JSAs, you have your systems, your processes, everything's in place, you hire correctly, you do it right.
What's the JSA?
Job safety analysis.
Okay.
Yeah, like so safety is really big in construction,
Of
right?
course, yeah.
So if you do it all right and you actually have an energy and a love for it, man, you can kill it. You can absolutely kill it. But I would make sure you had an absolute love for it. It was really, for me, it was really more something I grew to love. You know, I'm a big believer in like I don't really like when people say follow your passion. I feel like it's like, hey, make money and then become competent in something. And you get passionate about it once you can help somebody.
I mentioned that the other
That's
day.
smooth, man.
You know what I'm saying?
No,
Like,
man, that's
you don't-
so true.
You don't become passionate about it until you can help somebody.
Yeah.
So for me, I don't think I really started to love it until like year 6, 7. You know, that was also when I was making the money. So
Yeah, there you go.
like your wrist
Keep it
never
real,
hurts when the ball's going in, right?
Yeah.
You know, when your jumper's on, bro, it like,
Yeah.
nah, man, I feel good.
Yeah.